Okay, this is the latest article on our United Kingdom. Scottish independence. UK rules out giving referendum powers to Holyrood. That's Holyrood, not Hollywood. It's the Scottish Parliament. So here are the comments. Not really a surprise. Westminster is going to ride roughshod over all the devolved assemblies, which is about right. And then Bango TSW on minus 50 points says UK Parliament exercising its constitutional power to reject a request for a second referendum when the last one was only 5 years ago. What did you expect? Which is completely correct. No wonder it's diverted. And then this reply has 61 points, so I'm guessing it's pro Scottish independence, pro Remain. Well, if the English voting in the Tories is a mandate to continue on with Brexit, then isn't Scottish voting for Scottish National Party a mandate for having a second independence referendum? And our reply says yes, yes it is. And then there's another comment with a minus 36 points. The key difference being that Brexit was approved via referendum, whereas Scottish independence was rejected. That's completely right. And then replies to that we overwhelmingly re-elected a party with a manifesto pledge to seek a referendum if there was a significant change in circumstances. They have a mandate to seek another referendum. So what they're saying is we voted to leave the EU, so we get to have another referendum on Scottish independence. Fundamentally, though, what options does Scotland have? If Westminster says no, what ways past that are there? Having a unilateral referendum not authorised by the UK would mean Spain and others vetoing Scotland against joining the EU. Yeah, but even if they had their own unapproved independence referendum, it wouldn't count legally, so Scotland could still have an unauthorised referendum. This is a guy from Scotland. And then challenge Westminster to respect the result. Yeah, but they'd just ignore it. Spain, etc., might veto Scotland if we declare a UDI off the back of a referendum, but not for holding the referendum itself. Having a pro-independence result in such a referendum massively delegitimises the Union and Westminster's opposition. Yeah, but it's completely hypothetical. This doesn't exist in reality. It gets forcefully thrown in their face every time they do anything to Scotland from that point onwards too. Again, this is still hypothetical, which is going to be an almighty pain in the neck for Westminster, blah blah blah. There's also a whole spectrum of peaceful resistance to choose from demonstrations to tax revolts. Like, what is this, like the 1970s? We had that under Thatcher, and it's like, get with the 21st century, get with the program here. However, before any of that, I suspect Nicola Sturgeon's first resort will be legal challenges. Yeah, really? Oh god. Some British person replies, it really doesn't. Replying to the comment, having a pro-independence result in such a referendum massively delegitimises the Union and Westminster's position. And he says, it really doesn't, because the vote will be boycotted by Unionists, and you'll get a result like the informal Catalonia vote. The only thing illegitimate in that scenario is the vote being held itself. And then the same Scottish guy, replies, lol, fine, boycott away. That just means independence will win by a higher margin. If you don't take part in the vote, you don't get a say. Yeah, but if it's completely boycotted by everyone and it's illegitimate, it's gonna look pretty bad. Anyway, and calling for a boycott looks very much like the Unionist side is just afraid they will lose. A referendum called by the Scottish Government to see if the population of Scotland want to pursue independence is perfectly valid. No, it's not. Westminster isn't legally obliged to follow the result, that's true, but it'll hurt them a lot if they don't. No foreigner would recognise the result of the referendum, so there'd be no pressure for Westminster to do so either. Moral pressure. It would show the Scots won independence. A referendum and unilateral declaration of independence are two separate things. The first can be a very useful political ammunition for pro-independence side, even if it doesn't lead to the latter. So this guy's living in fantasy land, and then in response to that comment, lol, boycott away, that just means independence will win by a high margin. He says, why don't you just hold a vote tonight in your kitchen, mate, with just you voting and be done with it? And then in response to, if you don't take part in the vote, you don't get a say, and calling for a boycott looks very much like the unionist side is afraid they'll lose. And he says, you're advocating an illegitimate vote. Why should they take part in a vote where the outcome won't be recognised? Unionists did take part in the last vote, obviously. And then to a referendum called by the Scottish Government to see if the population of Scotland want to pursue independence is perfectly valid. Westminster isn't legally obliged to follow the result, that's true, but it'll hurt them a lot if they don't. And then the guy says, it's perfectly valid, that doesn't mean it's legal. Your kitchen referendum is valid, which also wouldn't be recognised by anyone else.